So we will now begin the webinar. So I hope everyone is doing well amidst all this pandemic and, coronavirus talk. So we are thinking of doing a webinar just to kind of, you know, teach and inform people on how to use Cawemo. So welcome to another target integration webinar in which we'll be covering how to map your business processes with Cawemo. So we have a lot to cover in this webinar, so we'll just dive right in with the agenda. So just a quick introduction is what we'll start with, who we are, what Cawemo is, the benefits of mapping processes, applying the business process to the software, and a demo time. So just an introduction, my name is Cynthia Olatunji, and my co-presenter today is Prithvi Dandu. So Prithvi and I are software consultants. I have about 2 years experience in working with businesses and assisting them to match their requirements with a suitable solution. And Prithvi has about 4 years experience. And Prithvi will be introducing herself a bit further when she is going to begin the demo. So just a brief introduction on who Target Integration are. So Prithvi and I both work for Target Integration. Target Integration was established in 2008 with the mission that every business should be able to leverage the full power of their business insights. So we give businesses these tools and assist them in doing this. And we have offices in Ireland, the United Kingdom, India, and the United States. And we also have a development center in Greece, which is great. So we believe in providing a perfect mix of quality and value. So what do we do exactly? So we specialize in CRMs, in ERPs, and also cloud. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System. So we would implement and integrate this for our clients. So this focuses on customer management, sales management, and customer care / ticketing. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So this would cover business process automation, e-commerce consultation, point of sale systems, and customer software development. And also cloud, which is cloud infrastructure, cloud SaaS and IaaS, and also web apps / mobile apps. So before we go into Cawemo, we'd have to kind of understand a little bit more about process mapping and what all of that means. So I'm going to take a step back before we go into process mapping. We're just going to try and focus a little bit about just what a process is. So a process is a set of interrelated or interacting activities that transform inputs into outputs. So just basing it off a real life example, let's say what the process from wood to furniture would be. So our inputs in this case would be wood, and our output would be furniture. And what happens between the wood becoming the furniture is the process. So that's what I would say a process is. So now going a bit deeper, what would process mapping be? So process mapping essentially is an exercise to capture all of the stages and steps in a process. So within a diagrammic form, basically. So which is what we'll be demonstrating today in this webinar using Cawemo. So we're going to look into what Cawemo is. So Cawemo is a subproduct of Camundo. So they offer different products and solutions. So it is an easy way to use business process mapping solution, and it sparks a fusion between business and IT through digitizing it. So it makes it more appealing to the eye rather than just writing it down or, quickly sketching it out, etc. So Cawemo's features, what are the features of Cawemo? So collaborative editing would be one of my favorite features of Cawemo, and with collaborative editing goes hand in hand with comments and discussions. So collaborative editing basically allows you to collaborate with those within your organization. It allows you to kind of work on one process with multiple people. And it just kind of takes the weight off other people just doing one process by themselves. You can get inputs and ideas through the comments and discussion section. Then we also have the fact that it can be embedded, so using a HTML, which is great. If you don't want to use a HTML, you can just link share, so that's also a feature of Cawemo. So link sharing is great because you can just send the link to whoever you want, and they will be able to view your diagram essentially, and it can also be password protected, which is great to note that it can be secure. So if you only wanted those within your organization that know the password to be able to access it, this would be a great feature to have basically. And also one of the other features is milestones. So you can kind of know what you have done within the 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 diagram, so you can kind of know what has happened, what has been added, what has not been added, etc., etc. So you can kind of go back essentially. So I'm just gonna go over the benefits of mapping your business process. I know it's a bit hefty here, but trust me, it's worth this. So it assists your employees in seeing the bigger picture. I think this is great because sometimes, you kind of explain a process to someone and they don't really understand it, but, having a visual representation of your process basically will make information much easier to spread around the company, thus enabling knowledge transfer. So I think that's a really good point, a key point, because if you can't see it, some people are visual learners. So if they can't see it, they won't be able to understand the process. And if it's scribbled down on a piece of paper, or it's made in Word or made in Google Docs, it's a bit more difficult to understand. Whereas Cawemo, where Prithvi will be demonstrating this is easy to use and easy to understand. Also, it's clear and concise. So you'll have the opportunity to see what's working and what is not working within your process, and also to see how important each of the steps are within the process. And also having a visual representation of your process makes employee onboarding more effective, as they will have it as a reference when doing the process. So they can go back to it while they're doing, for example, lead management. For example, there's a process on lead management. They don't know what step comes next. But if they have that process and they have the link to that process and it's on Cawemo, they'll be able to reference back to it and kind of understand what the next step would be, and then after that, and then after that, and basically eventually not need the process because they know it off by heart, because they always had a visual representation of it for them to further understand. And then process mapping essentially documents your business processes, which is then digitized and can be easily stored on a cloud-based server, rather than my other point again, having it written down on a piece of paper and then documented in your file cabinet. I feel like everything's cloud-based these days, so you know that the cloud is always there. So what if you lose that piece of paper? What if something happens? But at least you know that you'll always have, your processes stored in Cawemo, and also you can store it in an external cloud-based server. So I'm going to hand it over to Prithvi. Prithvi is just going to go straight into the demo and kind of explaining what she's going to be doing and how she's going to be doing it. So Prithvi, she, as I mentioned, she's my colleague, and she will be demonstrating Cawemo and going into further detail on how Cawemo works, what it does, how to use it, etc., etc. So Prithvi, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Prithvi Dandu, who works as a software consultant and target integration, and I have around 4 years of experience in providing business solutions to the clients from various sectors. We at Target Integration make use of Cawemo to draw the processes for different kind of businesses that helps us not only to better understand their business workflows, but also to map their requirements with the software products that we provide as the perfect solutions. Drawing from the benefits of Cawemo that we have just seen highlighted by Cynthia, let us see how this can be practically implemented. Considering a basic example of the order management process of a supplier business, where a supplier takes the order and ships products to the customer and the payment is processed for the same. So before proceeding to see how this can be accomplished using Cawemo, Let us have a look at the basic elements available in Cawemo that are required to create a BPMN diagram. So firstly, we have the events such as start, end, and task events. Every process starts with a start event and ends with the end event, and the tasks are the activities that needs to be completed to accomplish an objective. Coming to the gateways, we have two gateways, XOR and parallel gateways. The XOR gateway is an exclusive gateway used to model a decision in the process. When the execution arrives at this gateway, all outgoing sequence flows are evaluated in the order in which they have been defined based on true or false. The sequence flow in which condition evaluates to true is selected for continuing the process. Coming to the parallel gateway, this is used to model concurrency in a process. The most straightforward gateway to introduce concurrency in a process model is the parallel gateway, which allows forking into multiple paths of execution and joining multiple incoming paths of execution. Next, these are very important, the pools and lanes. A pool is a container for the sequence flow between activities. The sequence flow remains within the boundaries of the pool. Pools are used to represent a business process or a participant in the process. The business process might include order processing, sales process, registration process, etc. The participant in the process includes business entity such as company, department, and business roles such as buyer, seller, etc. Pools can be subdivided into lanes. The lanes represent business units such as departments within a company or business roles such as customer, buyer, seller, etc. The sequences and message events are the global coordination across the participants, and within the participants is the combination of sequences and messages. The sequences are used to coordinate the task within the single participant and is represented with a straight line arrow. Messages are used to communicate across the pools and represented as a dashed arrow that goes from one pool to another or from an activity in one pool to another activity in another pool. Coming to the order management process, the process mainly comprises of two participants, that is a supplier and customer. The supplier receives the order from the customer, supplier processes and ships the orders to the customer, and customer pays for the order. So let us now see how this can be accomplished using Cawemo. Once we log into Cawemo, we have all the projects listed here. So in order to create a new project, just click on the new project, click on new diagram. You can edit the name of the diagram. Here to add processes, simply drag from the palette on the left and drop them on the canvas, or you can create a flow directly from the previous events. The two main participants in this process will be represented by pools. We have the supplier, and another pool we have here is a customer. Supplier pool is divided into three departments. So I'm going to divide this supplier pool into three lanes. So I'm going to name each lane as sales, accounts, and warehouse. So these three lanes allows to distribute the tasks across the different departments in the supplier organization. So the customer pool on the top is represented as an external participant to the supplier. The customer is a black box and we don't know what happens inside, but the only thing we need is the message exchange between the customer and supplier. So the process starts with the start event. And flows forward sequentially. So the whole process begins when the supplier receives a message from the customer. So I'm going to give this message connecting from customer to supplier. The purchase order is received from customer. The sales department in the supplier pool then checks for the stock. And the sequence floats through the XOR gateway. We can select the XOR gateway here, and when the condition is satisfied, it will perform one of the tasks, that is reject order, and the other is accept order. So both these tasks will be done inside the sales department. So here I'm going to give the notes stock available. So if it is yes, then accept order, and if it is no, then reject the order. If the order is rejected, the process ends here. And if the order is accepted, then we have two things to do. So I'm going to add a parallel gateway here, and the two tasks that needs to be done in the accounts and warehouse departments are sending an invoice to the customer, and this will be done here in the accounts department. So I'm going to move this here, and ship products, and this will be done in warehouse. So the parallel gateway, when it forks to perform two different tasks, it will also have to join here. So I'm going to join this parallel gateway, and from here we have another task to process payment. Now we have seen how this workflow flows from one task to another, from department to department, and we have seen these message events flowing from customer to supplier. We have seen the purchase order, and when the order is received and the sales department checks for the stock, if the stock is available, then it accepts the order, and the order confirmation will be sent to the customer, and for that we'll be sending this message event with order confirmation. And if it is rejected, the order rejection message will be sent to the customer. And finally, when the payment is processed, payment will be done by the customer. So I'm going to select this message event from here and simply drag and drop and name this as order payment. And once the payment is processed, the process finally ends here. So this is how the whole order management process looks like. So you can zoom in, zoom out, or you can make it a full screen to see the full diagram. And also once this is done, you can share or embed this in a read-only mode, or you can export as a PNG, export as SVG, or you can export as a BPMN 2.0 XML in a document format. So I hope this gives you an idea of how a BPMN diagram can be drawn using Cawemo. Now Cynthia will take care of the pros and cons of the Cawemo.
Right. Thank you, Prithvi, for that. That was very informative and insightful. Thank you so much. So with Cawemo, what Prithvi has kind of covered, as you can see, there are pros to it. It's free to use. It's user friendly. It digitizes your business processes. It's a visual representation of business processes. And I think one of the really good pros would be collaborating with your colleagues, which is great. And then just some cons, you have to make a few diagrams to get the hang of it. Sometimes you may not know all of the tools, which is why training is advised. And it is not an automated tool, as you'd have to create the process yourself from scratch. So just a couple of our details. We'll follow this slide so you'll know how to contact us. So if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to ask them now. If there are any questions based on the webinar that you'd like to know, just feel free to ask us. In the meantime, I'm just going to quickly go over this contact us page. So we have our phone number for Dublin, for Birmingham, the USA, and India. So there are contact phone numbers if you wanted to contact us. Our website is there, so you can have a look at our case studies of the projects that we've done, the projects that we've achieved. Some of our clients are there. And if you wanted to come in contact with us via email, info@targetintegration.com is the way to go. So yeah, if there's any questions, please let me know. Alright, so I'm just seeing a question here. So is it obligatory to draw BPMN diagrams horizontally? What if I prefer to draw them vertically? Honestly, you can draw your diagrams from top to bottom instead of left to right. The BPN MN 2.0 standard does not forbid it, but I don't really recommend it because it is very uncommon, and experience has proven that people tend to understand the process flow better if it is described in the same way as written text, so from left to right. At least that is based on the Western world. So I would honestly recommend that you don't draw your BPN diagram vertically. I would recommend horizontally just so that it's easier to kind of read, because you don't read, you usually read from left to right as highlighted just there, my answer. Thank you for that question, by the way. If you want to learn more, you can always email info@targetintegration.com. Is there any more questions? Right, I'm just seeing here someone has asked, is it free? Yes, Cawemo is a free tool to use. I mentioned in the presentation that it is free, which is a great pro to it. So you can use it within your organization, and it is free of charge, which is great. Any more questions? No, I think that's all the questions that everyone has for me today. But make sure to contact us if you have any more questions that pop into your head after this webinar, because we will be more than happy to answer them and assist you. So that's no problem whatsoever. And yeah, so we will be having another webinar on the 6th of May, 2020, and our webinars are every 2 weeks. So stay tuned. And follow us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and also on all the social media platforms at Target Integration. Thank you all for attending our webinar. Your attendance is highly appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar, which I mentioned will be 2 weeks now from today, the same time. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye now.